हेलो एवरीबॉडी, कैसे हैं आप? आपका सैटरडे क्लास में स्वागत है। और जैसा कि मैं बहुत दिनों से अपने फॉर्मर स्टूडेंट्स को बुलाते रहता हूं ताकि जो भी वो इम्पार्ट किए हैं आपसे उस चीज को शेयर करें और उनकी एक्सपीरियंस से आपको डेवलपमेंट आए और आप इंग्लिश सीखें। तो जैसे कि मैंने पिछले बार बताया था कि सेकंड ऑफिसर हैं आशीष प्रताप बाबू, जिन्होंने हमारे स्टूडेंट रहे हैं और बहुत ही अच्छे स्पीकर है। द एक्सप्रेशन, द टोन, द कॉन्फिडेंस आई लर्न नाउ। तो आइए एक जोरदार तालियों के साथ इनवाइट करते हैं किनको? पार्ट 1 जो आप देख लिया है, उसके पार्ट 2 है, इसको देखिए। हमें लगता है आपको काफी अच्छा लग रहा होगा और काफी आप डेवलप करेंगे द एक्सेंट, द वे। मैं चाहता हूं कि आप सभी लोग उसी तरह से स्पीकर बने और बेहतरीन स्पीकर बने और आपको भी मैं अपना मेहमान बनाऊं। क्या आप मेरा मेहमान बनना चाहते हैं सच में? तो थैंक यू वेरी मच। मैं आपको भी इनवाइट करूंगा और आप भी मेरा गेस्ट बनकर आइए और अपने सीखे हुए चीजों को आप शेयर कीजिए ताकि आपसे सीखकर कोई आदमी दूसरा कोई फायदा उठाए और सोचे कि अगर वो अच्छा बोल सकते हैं तो मैं भी बोल सकता हूं। तो वही राम प्यारी कहानी, अगर आप पहली बार देख रहे हैं इसको तो इंग्लिश बाय आकाश सर चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कीजिए और कीप वॉचिंग माय चैनल। और आइए शुरुआत करते हैं एक शानदार वीडियो के साथ, एक असरदार वीडियो के साथ, एक दमदार वीडियो के साथ, ताकि आप भी एक बेहतरीन स्पीकर बन सके। तो आइए शुरुआत करते हैं सेकेंड पार्ट ऑफ आशीष प्रताप लेक्चर ऑन इंग्लिश टिप्स, कि कैसे आप इंग्लिश बोल सकते हैं और कैसे वर्ड को मैच करा जाता है। आपने गाना सुना होगा, साड़ी का फाल मैच कराया रे, तो क्या आपने वर्ड मैच कराया रे? जिसको अंग्रेजी में क्या कहते हैं वो बताएंगे, मैं नहीं बताना चाह रहा हूं, इसको सीक्रेट रहने देता हूं। जैसे एक बता देता हूं क्या होता है, ए किलर इज ए लीडर। क्या है? ए किलर और ए लीडर, इसको मैच कराया गया है। आपने हिंदी में देखा है, लेना ही लेना, लीजिए, पहले इस्तेमाल करो फिर विश्वास करे घड़ी। क्या हुआ? ये वर्ड को मैच कराया जाता है। उसी तरह से अंग्रेजी में वर्ड को मैच कराना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होता है। जैसे थोड़ा देर पहले सुना होगा, हिंदी में मैंने क्या बोला, एक बहुत ही दमदार, असरदार और क्या, असरदार और दमदार और शानदार वीडियो के लिए आपको बुलाया जा रहा है। तो आइए सुनिए, इसी को बोलते हैं क्या, सुनिएगा उसमें मिलेगा। विश यू ऑल द बेस्ट and happy listening a good lecture by Ashish Babu. So listen it. Thank you very much.
So briefly, I like to start that I have started my journey from this particular institute. Since I am a native of this place, I started my career from Sisya Public School, and it was way back when I was in class 1 or class 2. I used to come here in this coaching. See, at that particular small age, you are not aware about your future. You are a very small kid, right? So I used to casually come over here. I used to sit behind what sir used to teach. See, a small kid like me, I never used to understand what sir was teaching. But slowly, when I went up, I started understanding things, and sir guided me a lot. Now, moving on to supercharging your speaking abilities. Now, when you have from a speaker to from good speaker to great speaker, and now supercharging your speaking abilities. How you can supercharge your speaking abilities? You're not getting bored? Are you getting bored? No? Sure. Combining alliteration with the rule of 3. If you want, you can write it down. Combining your alliteration with rule of 3. I'm just talking about devices which you can use in your spoken English or when you're speaking to audiences or your counterparts, and you can make an impact. So first rhetoric device I used is, what did I use? Alliteration. Now combining that particular alliteration with the rule of 3. Understand? Rule of 3. What is rule of 3? Why I am talking about 3? Why not rule of 2? Why not rule of 1? Why not rule of 5? 3 is a word 3 is a number which is very unique in itself, no? 3. Quite unique, no? You will not find 1 unique, 2 unique, but 3 is very unique word. And looks very, not less, not more. 3 seems to be very adequate. Understand? How you can use the rule of 3 with alliteration. And that will make the listeners, that particular thing, it will be very memorable for the listeners. For example, to explain this rule of 3, there are larger issues to the constitution, the right it grants. Are those rights being deepened, expanded, extended? Like our constitution, the government is governed by the constitution. Is the constitution, the rights which it is giving, are those rights being deepened, expanded and extended? Rule of 3. Deepened, expanded, extended. I'm again talking about impact. How this rule of 3 is actually making an impact. Deepened, extended, expanded. The constitution is giving us some rights as a citizen. The sentence, the 3 words which I am talking about is extended, deepened and expanded. Understand? So suppose the constitution has given us right to speak. Okay? Means you are able to match my frequency or not? Are you able to understand or not what I am trying to explain? Is it clear? Then you tell me clearly. Else I will try to be more clear. Am I clear? Suppose the Constitution of India is giving certain rights to its citizens, like right to speak, a right to freedom of speech. In a very clear manner, which I will tell, right to freedom of speech. You are free to speak whatever you want, whatever you feel. This right is being given by the Constitution. But is this right being deepened, extended, expanded? Deepened in the way, are we letting everyone speak what they want to, or are the minorities being silenced? Understanding my point? Is the government not letting the minorities speak? Are we deepening this right, or are we extending this right to the last person of the society? Getting? Are we extending this right? The rule of 3. 3 words I am using here: deepened, extended, expanded. I am talking again about impact which I am making as a speaker. Rule of 3. You should always have an attitude of convincing people. Always have an attitude of convincing people. If you are right, if you have something to say, you should focus on that. I will convince him. What I am saying, I will convince him. Like whatever sir teaches here, he convinces you. Right? So that is your ability as a speaker. How good you are in convincing people. Salesmen we see, they are able to convince you. If they are coming up with a policy or something like that, they are able to make you buy that policy. That is about convincing ability, right? So as a speaker also, when you are speaking, your focus should be to convince your counterparts or your audience. Understand? And that will also enhance your, that will also supercharge your speaking abilities. Understanding? Now, convincing can be of various types. Convincing can be like you are showing some data. Like a politician sometimes speaks, he talks about data. That in our government, we gave 20 lakh jobs. Data. Understand? So when you are talking to people, you try to, if you are trying to convince, you try to put data. That see, this is the data. See, and if you are putting data, we are convincing more, right? Suppose I am talking a lot of things over here, but I don't have data. Suppose I'm a politician here, I'm talking to my constituency, and I'm telling that in my government we gave so much jobs, we had an opportunity to uplift the minority, we have an opportunity to uplift the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, but I don't have a data. And if me as a politician, I'd say that I have offered 20 lakhs job and I have executed 20 lakhs job in my tenure as a chief minister or as a deputy chief minister, I'm able to put data, and that will be convincing, right? Understand? Now see, data is also not sufficient. Sometimes you are putting too much of numbers in your communication. Suppose from starting to ending, I'm only talking in terms of data. That I have given 20 lakhs jobs, I have given 10 lakh workers this, I have given soldiers this facility. I'm only talking in data, but your data should be added on with emotional anecdote for better communicating. What I have told is data with emotional anecdote. Now I'll explain you how what is emotional anecdote. Are you writing it? Huh? For example, two things I have talked: data and adding up data with emotional anecdote. And for that, I want to give you an example. India's shares of the world economy was 23%. By the time the British left, it was down below to 4%. Understand? India's contribution to the world economy was 23%, and by the time the Britishers left, it was down below to 4%. This is merely a data. Although it has made an impact, we contributed how much to the world economy? 23%. We are down, when the Britishers left, we are down to how much? 4%. Almost 19% of decline when the Britishers left. The data is explaining how Britishers plundered India. Data itself is explaining, but now it is not sufficient. It is not enough, because the audience is not emotionally connected with that particular data. Understand? Now see how I will connect this data with emotional anecdote. The handloom weavers, for example, fame across the world, whose products were exported around the world. These weavers were actually making fine muslin, light as woven air, it was said. Then came Britain, right in and smashed their thumbs broke their looms, imposed tariffs and duties on their clothes and product. Understand? This particular example is explaining how Britishers came and weavers who were making very fine muslin, which was very light as air. Muslin is a type of cloth which we wear, like shawls and all. So in that particular era of time, weavers were very much very good, and they used to weave very fine muslin clothes which was exported worldwide. And then came Britishers, smashed their thumbs, broke their looms, imposed duties and tariffs, and the weavers were over. Emotional anecdote, right? Britishers came, smashed their thumbs. Thumb is a very important thing for a weaver, right? Smashed their thumb, broke their looms, imposed tariffs and duties. The weavers were gone. Emotional anecdote. Just before the emotional anecdote, I gave you data. 23%, 4%. Now this thing which I spoke right now was emotional anecdote. Understand? So with data, if you are adding emotional anecdote, you are again making an impact. You are again supercharging your speaking abilities. Understanding my point? Understand? Now, one more example. 29 million Indians died of starvation in British-induced famines. The most famous example, of course, was the Great Bengal Famine, when millions of people died because Winston Churchill, deliberately as a matter of written militant policy, proceeded to divert essential supplies from civilians in Bengal to sturdy Tommies and Europeans as a reserve stockpiles. And when conscientious British official wrote to him pointing out that people were dying because of this decision, he pevishly wrote in margins of the file, "Why isn't Gandhi died?" Emotional anecdote. The Great Bengal famines, there was people starving and there were people dying, and the British officials wrote to Winston Churchill that, "Mr. Winston Churchill, the Prime Minister, the people in Bengal are dying." He said, "I don't care about that. You tell me, has Gandhi died or not?" So this particular thing will make impact on you, right? I told 29 million people died. 29 million people died in Bengal famine starvation. Finish. And now I explain you that 29 million people died of starvation. Children, women, men were dying because they were not getting food. And when the British officials wrote to Winston Churchill, he told, "I don't care." He was reserving his stockpiles. He told, "Tell me when Gandhi dies." This is like emotionally impacting you, right? Data and emotional anecdote will take you from, or will supercharge your speaking abilities. Understand? Getting my point? Now moving on from these things, I'll come to clear thinking. What do you mean by clear thinking? Can anyone tell me what do you mean by clear thinking? You can say in a way achhi soch, but to the point, when you are clear in your thoughts. What do you mean by clarity in thoughts? When you are clear what point you are making. It is not you are standing in between, you are in a doldrum that, is it this, is it that? No, it is this. Clear thinking. Understand? and that how that is going to impact you as a speaker, or how that is going to make or enhance your or supercharge your speaking abilities, I'll explain it. See, even if you are trying to make yourself valid, if you are trying to make people understand you, all your things will go in vain if you are not yourself clear what you are trying to make people understand. If you are yourself clear about your points or about your thoughts, surely your audience or your counterparts will be also clear about your thoughts, right? Like suppose we are talking about a political party or a sportsman. Suppose this X says to Y that Virat Kohli is the stalwart of Indian cricket, is the master class of Indian cricket, and at the same time he is showing data that he averages more than 50 in Test cricket, he has more than 50 centuries in ODI cricket, right? And at the same time he's attaching an emotional anecdote that you see how single-handedly he won against Pakistan, that emotional feeling that we have against Pakistan. Now he is very clear in his thought when he's talking to Y. He has stats, he has emotional anecdotes, right? He is using alliterations. He has a very clear thinking. He doesn't have an alternative player other than Virat Kohli. If he says he is the master class of cricket, but Rohit is also better, right? If he is arguing with Y and is saying he averages 50 in the century, but Rohit also averages 51, he is not clear in his thoughts, right? He is not validating his point. He is not clearly supporting to one particular sportsman, right? So clarity in thought is also very important. If you are clear in your thoughts, you will be able to communicate clearly to your audience. Understand? See, and if I am communicating or if I am interacting with you people, suddenly you ask me a question and I am not aware about this question. Okay. There is no shame in telling that sorry, I'll find it out and tell. Rather than giving some false data or trying to cover up that you are not knowing. So admit yourself that you are not aware, you are not knowing about that. There is no harm in not knowing certain things. Everyone, each one of you is not knowing everything, right? Maybe you are taking interest in politics. He is taking interest in sports. He is taking interest in science and tech. So he knows what China has launched right now in the satellites. He knows which player or which tournament is going on. He knows which place is going to have elections in the upcoming season. So everyone is following something of their choice, right? So each one of you is not aware of everything. Understanding my point? So sometimes admitting, I don't know, I'll find out and I'll tell. Understand? There's no harm in that. And how that is going to impact the other person? Suppose you ask me a question and I say, sorry, I don't have any idea, and I'll try to find it out and I'll tell you tomorrow. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Good thing. Because the one who has asked you the question will feel that no, he's honest. Right? Suppose you ask me a question, I am not knowing about that, and I give you a false data. You go, you cross check, you verify, and what you'll think about me is the dishonest person. He just tries to show himself. Rather accepting that you are not knowing, I'll try to tell you tomorrow. I'll try to find it out tomorrow and I'll come back. Okay. So that as a speaker will make sure what audience actually feel about you. That no, he's an honest person. What he knows, he tells. What he doesn't know, he tells, I'll find it out and tell. So this is also a very important thing, because if you are interacting with people, if you are explaining something, if you are teaching them something, there will be questions. And as I said, not everyone is knowing everything. Obviously, right? So accepting what you are not knowing, finding out what you are not knowing, helping them the next day will be the most honest way, rather than explaining something false and being dishonest, right? See, this was the first step of having a very clear thinking and communicating. The step 2 of clear thinking says that if you want to have a very clear thinking, you should try to understand the opposite argument. Suppose I am talking to, what is the name? Vivek. Suppose I am talking to Vivek, for example, and I am trying to validate, no, this government is not good. The MP of our constituency is not good. He has not done a single job, right? And at the same time, he's trying to communicate to me something that is opposing argument. He is in favor of the MLA, or he is in favor of that political party. Or for example, a teacher. I say I don't understand what this teacher teaches. It goes over my head. He tells, no, the teacher teaches quite well. The fault is somewhere else. So you need to try to understand the opposing argument. What points he is making that no, the teacher is good. And you have to counter those points. Suppose, understand what I am saying. Suppose I told, no, Aakash Sir, whatever Aakash Sir teaches, I don't understand. It goes over my head. That day he was talking about a chapter. I didn't understand that chapter. Then suddenly he stands up, he tells, no, it was fine. We all understood that chapter. He was trying to validate this point that according to the grammar, whatever he tries to explain, X point he's trying to explain, and I am understanding what he's saying. I am trying to understand the opposing argument. Then I'll counter that argument. That will be valid. He's telling X benefits of learning English in Rebel. I'm talking Y. That won't be a clear thinking aspect, right? So step 2 of clear thinking is when you are communicating with your audience, or when you are communicating with your counterpart, try to understand the opposing argument. What points, what validation he is giving to you, and then countering that valid point, right? So this is the step 2 of clear thinking. Understand? So moving on. I'll come to that. I'll come to your questions also at last. Okay, I'll finish it up. I'll come to your questions also. So now moving on, I have already talked about reading habit, right? Why reading habit is very important. Everyone, I will ask you. My question to everyone is, what is the most interesting genre which like attracts you? What you want to read about, what you want to find about? Starting from here, I'll say, everyone will tell. What attracts you? What reading habit attracts you? What you want to read? Sports, political journals, finance, economics, science, tech. Okay, starting from here. Just stand up and tell what you want to read. Just in one word or two words. Go on, go on. Okay. Faster, we have too many people. Have science and tech. What do you want to read? Science and tech. Keep sitting and tell. Keep sitting and tell. Keep sitting and tell. Finance. Health and environment. Very good. Keep sitting and tell. Keep sitting and tell. Adventurous stories. Science. Science. Sports. Science. Scary stories about powerful persons. Science. Politics and inspiring stories. Adventure stories. Science. Suspense. Science. Next. Science. Politics. Next. Science. So I'll take a very common answer, science. Okay. Few people told, what you told? Health and environment. Right. So anything which attracts you, read that. Suddenly she has told finance, and you go behind finance. It is not your department, right? It is not your particular thing. Why I am telling you is that what attracts you or what you find luring or you find interesting, you should read that will make your reading habit very easy. It is a very common sense kind of thing, right? Play a sport which you like. How that will help the sports which you like? Instinctively you feel that I should play cricket, and you go and you know how to hold the bat because you are watching cricket for a long period of time. You know how to hold a bat, you already know how to hit a ball, and you go there and you perform well, right? So if you want to improve your reading habits, what you have to do is start from something which attracts you. That you want to grow financially, you start reading finance blogs, start listening to finance speakers who talk about investments and opportunities in financial markets and something like that. If you are interested in science and tech, you start reading the science blogs, right? What countries or what people are doing or what organizations are doing in science and tech, in satellites, what their satellites they are launching, right? What development in science and tech is going on in day to day, right? Quotes, scary stories. Obviously, it is a very good thing. Someone is reading novel, scary novel, right? That will enhance your reading habit. So if you say economics or finance, read the economics magazine. Understand? Newspaper, The Economist. If you talk about comics and all, you have small comic books and all where you can read comics. Understand? Following newspapers every day. So this will enhance your reading habit. And if your reading habit enhances, you'll get vocabularies and everything which I have talked from starting to now in will follow. I'll start taking questions from your side if you have any doubt. This is briefly about how to speak confidently in any situation.